So here in part 4, we'll see how to set up a menu bar and maybe a couple other odds and ends, and then we're just about done. So right now we have our main links, the link styles that apply in the main div, and then links that apply inside a list item in an ordered list in the sidebar. And the reason we made those links in a list is because a lot of content management systems do it that way, and also even if you're not using a content management system like WordPress or something like that, using lists is a real easy way to make menus that have pull-down menus, sub-menus, things like that. So that's why we're doing them that way, although it seems like a little more work right now. So I'm just going to change some of these colors so we can maybe see what's going on here with verify that we've got two different things going on with our links. So yeah, there's this set of links and those links. A preview, save. Okay, hard to see, but those are doing a different thing than the ones in main, which is what we wanted. So what we add in now is going to make this look more like a menu bar. And we just have one more thing to add in the code here. And then we're going to do some stuff through the dialog box with the CSS styles. So I'm going to add in at the top of this sidebar section and it's going to be a style for UL that's inside sidebar. Okay, and one of the things this does is it's going to hide the bullets. So list style type :none. A minute ago it had bullets on each of those because that's what lists have by default if they're a UL list, and now they're gone. So that's the first step. And we're also going to set the margins because by default lists are indented. So we're just margin 0 pixels, 0 px. And actually it's just, if you're doing 0, for some reason you leave off the px. Just 0, and then padding 0. Okay. And that moved them over to the left. So now let's try doing some CSS stuff the easy way. So in the CSS panel, you should have it set on all, so you can see all of your CSS rules. Okay, we've done a lot so far. And then notice you can pull that thing down so you can either show them or hide them. The other thing you may want, although we'll kind of do without it at first, is this properties area here. If you use that area, which we will in a minute probably, make sure it's on this button here that kind of looks like a couple snowflakes. It only shows what's currently set in your CSS instead of showing you all the available options, which is kind of overwhelming. So we want to find the one for the links in that menu on the sidebar. So there's the main ones. There's the sidebar list. You can see there's the CSS we just set. And the nice thing about using this also is you can disable. So if you want to see what that list style type does, you can just click on that little no symbol right there and disable that style type of none, which didn't seem to do anything for some reason. Anyway, theoretically that works. Then what we want to add in here is for sidebar ULLIA for all of our links that are in that list in the sidebar. So I'm going to double click on this CSS rule and it'll bring up this dialog box. So we're going to set a font family. You can change this to some other font later if you want, but Arial is a good one for menus. And I'm going to set the font size to large and the font weight to bold. It's actually already on bold. Text decoration, a lot of times in a menu bar type of thing, you don't want the default underlining. So I'm going to choose none. And then the thing that's going to make this more bar-like is if we go to, I have to remember which one it is, go to block, the third one down, third category down, and then under display, choose block. And then also we're going to go to box and change the padding. So I'm going to uncheck same for all. And no, actually I do want it to be same for all. Sorry about that. Keep it checked. And then I want 8, and then make sure the units are on pixels. And if you hit apply, you can see what the change is before we hit OK and get out of it. If you do hit OK, you can always just go back into it. Okay, so you can see what the block display did without it. Display none actually hides things. Okay, inline. And then block kind of gives everything its own space like that. So now it's already looking more like a menu bar. So now for the link one, the one that comes next, ULLIA:link inside sidebar. We're going to set the color difference and the background color. So go to the background category. And I want to do a border on this one. So I'm going to go to border. And then I want same for all on these. And this is just going to be a solid border. And these are usually fairly thin. I'm even going to go, I don't know how many pixels thin is. I think it might be 2. So I'm going to make 1 pixel. And then I'm just going to do kind of a dark gray. And then when I hit OK, now I've got my background color and my borders. And so for the visited ones, and double clicking on it and then changing the color and setting the background color so it doesn't change on me, and the border solid 1 pixel again and the same color. Okay, and then for hover, when I hover, I'm going to reverse the colors. So I'm going to make the text color white and the background color black. So I'm clicking on background category, changing that to black. And I'm going to change the border color also. So solid 1 pixel. And then just pick a color. Okay, and then for the active ones that are just this color right when you've clicked on them as the page is loading, set the color to whatever you want, set a background color, and then the border. Solid 1 pixel, and I'm going to go back to the other color. So I'm going to go up to Save All, and that will save both the style sheet and the HTML. And then view this in a browser. And then there's my hover. When I hover over, you can see the background changing, the text is changing to white, I've got an orange border. Okay, and so now it's more like a menu bar. When I click, there's my active color. All right, and those are separate than just the regular links, which are in my main content area. Some other styles that you're going to want, we can add in. We'll do some of them this way, and then some through the code again, but we're just going to hit that little plus that's down in the bottom of the CSS panel to add a new CSS rule. And it will come up like this. And this one is compound. We'll do this one this way, and we'll see another way to do it. But we're going to call it sidebar. Keep the number sign in front, and then P. And this will only apply to paragraphs that are inside the sidebar. And make sure that it's saying layoutstyles.css down here. Don't change that to this document only or new file. We want it to keep going in the same file. And hit OK. And so this will basically apply like to this paragraph right here in the sidebar. And so maybe I want it to be a different typeface. We haven't done much with typefaces yet, but maybe this is going to be Courier New for some reason, and the color is going to be green. And I hit OK. Okay, and now that only applies to that paragraph in the sidebar and not to my paragraphs anywhere else. So here I have a paragraph that's in the footer. Actually, I lied, it's not a paragraph yet, so I'm going to click after it, just after the period, and hit enter. Okay, that made it into paragraph, and it also gave me an extra space. So, okay, there we go. Went back up and hit delete. So now I've got a paragraph. You can tell I've got the space above and below it, and when I click in there, I've got the P tag right there. So I'm going to click on that P tag, and now make the new style over here by hitting the plus. And now Dreamweaver knows that that's what I want to make the style for. So it's making the style for P tags that are inside the footer, inside the wrap, which I don't really need it to be that specific. So I'm going to hit less specific right here. And it takes off the wrap, because everything on my page is going to be inside the wrap, so I don't really need that. So just # footer space P, or we could have just typed it in as a compound style. Okay, and then footer information is usually smaller, and maybe it's not quite as noticeable a color. Might be italicized, font style, italic. Okay, a lot of different things you could do. See how that looks? Okay, that's totally unreadable, so don't want it to be that subtle. Okay, so there we have a paragraph style that only applies in the footer, and here's a paragraph style that only applies in the sidebar. A couple other styles you're going to need, and we'll just do this one in the code. Make sure you're in the CSS code. So here was, these were my sidebar links for our menu and sidebar paragraph. I'm going to put a little space there because those are kind of a different thing. Okay, and then we're going to make what's called a CSS class called .floatImage. Classes can apply to any tag that you want, multiple times if you want, to many different tags, and they start with a dot. So they're like a custom CSS rule. And I'm going to call this one floatImageLeft and do my braces. And then inside here we're just going to say float left, float : left, semicolon. And then if an image floats to the left and the paragraph of text wraps around it to the right, the image is going to need a little space on the right side, a little padding, just on the right side. So I'm going to do padding -right to give it some space between the image and the text so it doesn't go right up next to it. So I'm going to start with like 12 pixels. And then I'm going to make another one of these for floating the other direction, float image right. So my image is floating to the right because I'm going to tell it to right here. And then I want the padding, because the text is going to be over on the left side now. So I want the padding on the left. So the way we're going to use that, let's say I've got an image here. You may not have one in your images folder yet, but let's say I've got one. And I can just drag it into my page. Put it right there. Put in some alt text for it. See, without wrapping, without floating, it just does this, which usually is not what you want. So I'm clicking on the image. With the image selected, then I'm going down to my class over here in the properties. And then I only have two so far, so there they both are. So float image left. The image stays on the left, the text goes up to the right of it, and there's that padding. Okay, and if I change